Hello, hello. Sorry for the delay. I just had to set up the machine. So welcome to the first live of 2025. So I want to wish everybody I always forget that the computer, or the printer I should say, sings both when it starts and when it's finished a project. So I just want to wish everybody a happy new year. Welcome to, like I said, the first live of 2025. I'm preparing for some craft fairs that I'll be hosting in February. Our first one is February 2nd. And for tonight, I'm going to be making a sample 3D printed Valentine's Day heart candy. And it is actually a clicker keychain. So a Valentine's candy, I guess, yeah, Valentine's Day candy, which is a clicker and a keychain. So come on in. The print only takes about 28 minutes. Let me just double check that. So 29 minutes. So it's about 1 or 2 minutes of setup, meaning like the warming up of the actual plate, which is, or the bed, which is underneath. The bed is the black part. This is the plate. The bed will go up to 65 degrees Celsius for this project, which means the plate will be equally as hot. Then the nozzle over here is warming up and it's clearing out the previous filament that I use. It's purging it or flushing it for the pink one that you just saw, the pink and red. So right now what it's going to do is it's getting ready to push the red through. And in order for the red to come through, it has to get out the remainder of the pink that was in there from the last print. So we call that flushing. So you can see that. And how I know it's changing colors is I have the 4-piece system here, which is called the AMS. So number 1 is black, 2 is red, 3 is pink, 4 is blue. We're currently going to do the blue and the red. So the flickering light is telling me that number 2 is being used. And that is the filament that you see flushing. How the machine changes colors is, right now it's going to do the red. The red is going to be the words, and I do believe I have cutie pie that's going to be printed. It's going to be printing the word upside down and flat. So that's the top part. It's actually printed in 2 pieces. You have the top part here, and then you have the base, the solid part of the base. And you see it's 2 different thicknesses. So the machine now is going to do its calibration. Now for the color change, you're going to see, right now the red is all the way at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. It's all the way at the bottom. It's going to print the red, and once it's done, the nozzle here is going to slide over to this little button here, which is going to push in the slicer, which is a knife, and it's going to cut the red. It's going to retract it back up, and it's going to push the blue through. I always say the machine's getting ready to take off whenever it does that.
Unleash your creativity with Creative Fabrica, your go-to place for all of your print-on-demand needs.
So as I said, this print is about 29 minutes. It's 2 to 3 minutes of prep time. It's going to clean the nozzle. It's going to do more calibrations. It's going to do a test strip afterwards of the red just to make sure it's coming out freely, that there's no blockage. The back part there that it just went through is the nozzle cleaner. So it actually scraped off the little remainder of filament that may have been at the bottom of the nozzle. Same thing for that section. It's very meticulous when it comes to cleaning. Now there are different little points on the bed itself, so that's why I was going up and down just to test the points. The nozzle's heating up. And it's preparing the red. So it's going to bring up the temperature of the nozzle to about, let's see, 140 degrees Celsius before it starts printing. And then it'll automatically bring itself back up to 220 degrees for the full print. So all the little tapping it's doing is it's calibrating. There are little magnetic points. This is to ensure that the bed of the printer is flat. When you don't have an equal leveled bed, a lot of your stuff won't adhere. Means it won't stick. Now, when you're doing certain prints, you can put on what's called a brim, which is extra plastic around it so it doesn't shift, or you can put on supports. I like to use a glue stick or even hairspray. But for these clickers, because there's a text, you don't want to have any glue or anything that's going to smudge the text. So you have to make sure that the bed, the plate, is completely clean. There's no oils, there's no substance. So that way everything sticks properly. So the machine, once again, is just getting the red ready. When you see it turning counterclockwise, that means it's extruding. It just did a test strip, so the nozzle is not blocked. So the little dial on the head here, on the extruder, when it goes counterclockwise, means it's extruding, means it's pushing filament through. When it goes clockwise, it means it's retracting and it's pushing the filament out. And how do I know what color is being used? Again, this is the AMS system. Wherever there's a blinking light, that's the filament that's being used. So that's the filament that's being pulled through right now into the nozzle. And it's going to print Cutie Pie. It's going to print it upside down and in reverse. Let me just take off this piece. So when it spits out stuff, we call these poops. That's what after the color change. That's from the previous one. I usually have a cup or a bowl underneath to catch it, but I emptied out the bowl and forgot to put it back. So it just did the words Cutie Pie. I'll see if I can bring you closer. Bring this down, bring this up. So it did Cutie Pie. I don't know if you can see it. And now what it's going to do is it's changing the color. It's now at number 4, which is the blue. So what it did is it cut the red, it sliced the red, and that means that once it cut it, there's still some in the nozzle. Now the blue is being pushed through, and you're going to see it's going to be like almost like a purpley color. That means that the blue is pushing out the remainder of the red. Sorry about that. And then now it's just going to push out the blue, just to ensure that there's no more red left in there. So again, this is called flushing. Now, the funny thing about that, we call this flushing because it's flushing out the nozzle, and then those little pieces that it pops out are called poops. Now, you can set the level in regards to how many times it cleans it out, or how many millimeters, because it's basically measured in millimeters. How much of a millimeter you want to push through before it starts to print in between each color change. I never really changed it. I just kept it at factory setting. or if there's a specific print that requires me to change it, only then I will do it. But majority of the time, I've basically left the flushing settings the same way I got it out the box. As you can see, it's supposed to push that little piece over to the other side. Sometimes it gets stuck, it's not a problem. I can just grab it after with some pliers. We just don't want it to go onto the bed. So there you go. You can see the words cutie pie. See if I can bring you in a bit closer. It's not going to be very clear, but cutie pie, and it's upside down and backwards. So now the blue. So what happens in the back, we call this a flushing tower. Oops, sorry about that. It's what it does after it cleans the nozzle, just to ensure that there's no extra color from the previous one, the previous filament. And so now it's doing the base of the heart. Let me just minimize. Oh, we're going to have a little technical difficulty here. One second. There we go. It's not letting me minimize again. Sorry about that, guys. So the blue part that is printing right now is going to be the base of the clicker. There we go, we got it. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. So that solid blue part is going to be the base of the clicker. And it's going to be shiny like that because the first layer of the filament of the printing takes on the characteristic of the plate that it's on. So there are other plates that I can purchase. There are plates with holographics on it, and whatever I print will have the holograph. That stuff I'm going to look into later on. So now you can see it. So I'm going to catch the color change. So there's going to snip the blue. So now it literally just cut the filament. You can't really see it retracting it, but it's going to pull out the blue and it's going to push the red back in. There you go. So now it changed to the red. Now because there's blue still left in the nozzle, you're going to see blue come out first, followed by a purple color, because red and blue make purple, and then you'll see it change to red. So that's the blue that was left in the nozzle. And for those of you not familiar with the color wheel, red and blue make purple. So you're going to see that little dark maroon color, and then red will come out. I'll see if I can catch a piece so you can see it. It is hot when it comes out the nozzle, so I'm not going to catch it right away. So now it's going to just keep on pushing out the red. I'll probably do it 1 or 2 times. And I'll see if I can catch that piece of purple. Oh, sorry guys for the shaking. I'm trying to find that piece. Here we go, I found one piece. So in between the color change, you have the red that was printed, then you have the purple and the blue. So again, I don't know if you can see it. Let me put the hand behind it. Color change. So right now it's doing the blue again. It just finished the red. And it's not going to do that many color changes because the red is not needed that much. It was just for the text. So for those of you who are just hopping in right now, we're making a clicking toy, a keychain. Please excuse my hands. I was just working on my car and I decided to hop on live afterwards. It's freezing out here, so my hands are still kind of cold. The cutie pie part is the same as a sweetheart, printed upside down and backwards. For those of you wondering what goes inside of a clicker, the thing that makes the noise on the inside is called a switch. And they look like this. They are the inside of a gamer's keyboard. The little prongs on the back, the little metal prongs there, have to be bent, or else it won't sit flat or sit flush in the base of the clicker. So now it is flat. I don't know if you can see it. And they'll sit inside the clicker. So again, this is going to be the top of the clicker. That's going to be the base. The top of the clicker is half the size or half the thickness of the base, because if it was the same thickness and the same width, it would not fit inside. So I did 3 samples. Well, yeah, 3 samples just so I can get the settings right in regards to the printing of the text. So this was the first one. You see, it's not 100% clear and there's a little error above the E. This is the second one. Slightly better, and there's no error above the E. And then this is the third and final one, and you can see it's very clear. Now, as I said before, there's going to be no more color change. The red is done. It's a very minimal part. And it's just going to print. We have about 12 minutes. It's just going to print the blue. This section here will be done first because it's going to be thinner. Then that one will be done second. And it'll have like a little divot, a little hole in the middle to accommodate the switch that's going to sit inside. So feel free to ask your questions. I will let you know the frequently asked questions. What machine am I using? As I said earlier, it's the Bambu Lab A1 Mini with the AMS system, which I can do 4 colors. You'll see that the black here has a little mechanism on it. It's called a lock because the circumference of the circle on the filament is wider than the spool holder. And so there is a mechanism that I printed that locks the spool in place so it can't come off. If not, it would have rolled off. These ones are snug and they fit perfectly, but that company's spools are too big, the holes, and so there was a file for a lock that I printed. And now I have 3 colors. I have orange, 4 colors, sorry, orange, red, black, and yellow from a different company that are too big for this machine. So instead of panicking, we searched and we found the lock, and we printed it, and now everything's hunky-dory. The other ones fit perfectly. Now the filament comes on cardboard spools or plastic. I don't have a preference. I go for more so for the color or for the quality of the filament. And I use several different companies. The majority of my filament is Elegoo, which you can see right here. And then I have Overture, which is this one here. The blue one also is Elegoo. I also have Yusu, Yousu, Gray Kit, Anycubics. There's a bunch of different filaments I use. I mostly go for pricing and how vibrant the actual colors are. And sometimes I will check reviews. But in honesty, if I'm going to be real with you guys, it's about the pricing. So the section that you see in the middle of this heart is going to have an inverted T so that the T on this will fit snug inside. This section here will have a hole so that the base of the clicker can fit inside. Sorry, the base of the switch. The whole keychain is called the clicker, but the component inside is called a switch. And it's the same kind of items that are in keyboards that gamers like to use. And switches come in many different colors, different sizes, and different sounds. You have the silent switches, and you have some that are really, really loud. I have one that's right after the silent one, so it's not super loud and it's not quiet. And I get them wholesale. I don't buy them one at a time because they can be quite pricey. Now, one of the questions I'm asked is, do we glue the pieces together? I personally don't. Reason being is that, for example, if you're a clicker like me, and eventually the switch will run out. It will break, or it'll just stop clicking. I'll stop making noise. I would like my clients to be able to email me and tell me, you know, Tara, it's not making noise anymore. They'll send me a bit of change, and then I'll send them another switch to put inside themselves. If it was glued, they would not have that option. Oh, yes, frequently asked questions. So, like I said, the machine I'm currently using is the Bambu Lab A1 Mini. The reason why I got the Mini is because I take it to fairs. I host craft fairs and markets and pop-ups in and around my area, West Island, Montreal. So it was easy for me just to take this machine. Now, do you need to have the multicolor AMS system? No, you don't, because there is a spool holder in the back of the machine. The spool holder, you can use solid colors, and you can still do color change as long as your colors are layered colors. Not, say for example, if your design has lines on it or squiggles, you don't want to be sitting there by your machine for hours manually switching out the colors. Now, if your project has like a layer of red, a layer of yellow, etc., then of course you can just sit there. When the machine beeps, it's notifying you to change your filament. I've done that several times before I got the AMS system. Without the AMS system, you have trouble doing stuff like this. Although for this, you can program it to do the red first, and then tell it to let you know when to switch to the pink. So you can do this without the AMS system. If it was more intricate with little hearts on the side and other details, no. I do have other machines. I'll show you over here. They're not in use at the moment. I have Anycubics Cobra 3 over here. And then I have another one over here that just finished some dragons earlier on. So I will go live with those machines probably tomorrow, because I have to print some more dragons. But for tonight, I decided to come on here so you guys can join me for a very short live and watch some Valentine's Day candy hearts being printed. We're almost done. So the top of the heart is finished. The part that said cutie pie is done. We have about 5 more minutes for the base to be done. So this part here that is upside down is the one with the text. We saw earlier it said cutie pie and it's printed upside down like this. Sorry about that. We're almost done. So also, as you can see inside the actual clicking base, I don't fill it in. I don't make it solid. There are going to be some, the infill is only like at 10 or 15%, meaning that it's not a solid component. I don't like to have extra weight on my hand clickers. I like them to feel light. And so the inside of the clickers are not solid, which is called the infill. You keep the infill to about 10 or 15%. Basically, these things will float. Oh, that's without the switch. Once the switch gets wet, they won't click. And we're almost done. The plastic that you see is called a PLA. The filament comes in many different types. You have ABS, PTEG, like so many different types of filament, but I use PLA, which is cornstarch-based filament, meaning that it's biodegradable and it's also non-toxic. Not to say that you should be licking these things, but when I make my little toys, kids tend to put things in their mouth. And so I chose to make sure that my products are safe and biodegradable. Another frequently asked question is, does it smell when the plastic burns? In all honesty, no. I'm actually by windows either way. Some filament, other filaments, once the plastic melts, it does give off a fume. Not to say that there's not some kind of a smell sometimes, especially if the filament is getting burnt through the nozzle because it got stuck. Sometimes you have to put the nozzle to 300 and there's like a little cleaning tool. That's the only time I really see any smoke or any smells, just because it's burning out the filament that got stuck. But I have 3 machines running daily and everything's fine, and I have cats and a dog. So I wouldn't do anything that's going to be toxic to myself, let alone my animals. How long did this take to print? It's about 28 minutes for one print. You can make it go faster. So I have the speed at 100%, which is just the regular speed, but you can go slower, which is 50%, or you can go faster, which is sports mode, which is 124% speed, or you can go ludicrous, which is 166% speed. But that, you're taking a chance of stuff just flying everywhere if you don't have a good adhesion. I keep it at 100%, especially with a new file. Like I said, it's 28 minutes to just do one of these. But if I add 5, 6, 7, 8 or more, it's not going to take 28 minutes each. It might add maybe another 3 to 5 minutes each. So I don't really mind. I'm doing the 28-minute one just so that I have some content, but also I didn't want the live to be like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours like I was doing last year. This year I'm going to be more focused and intentional when I come on, and I'm going to keep the printing short because people get bored quite quickly. Like right now, we're heading to the 31-minute mark in regards to the live, and that's with the setting up, technical difficulties, the printer warming. But overall, this print itself was supposed to be 28 minutes, minus everything else. And right now we're done. We're at 97%, and we're down to the very last minute. So it's just going to keep on going around, and then once it's done, it's going to sing again, just like it did when it started. I'm going to give it about a minute or two for it to cool, because the bed itself is at 65 degrees Celsius, meaning that the plate is just as hot. And that also means that the base of the clicker is still warm and malleable, meaning that if I to take it off too quickly, there's a chance that I can dent the plastic or warp it. And there you have it, all done. So like I said, it's kind of hot. We're going to give it about a minute or so. And I'll show you again what we printed. So we did a 3D printed Valentine's Day candy heart, which is actually a keychain. This one said sweetheart. The one that printed, it says cutie pie. Still warm. That little triangle in the back there is called the purging tower or flushing tower, which is what it's done. Sorry, it's done once the color change has occurred. It will make this little geometrical shape just to ensure that there's no bleeding of colors, there's no gradient of the colors. It wants to make sure that the color that's going to be printed next is the only color coming out of the nozzle. So these machines are very intricate, they're very smart. The Bambu Lab A1 Mini, for me, for beginners, it's one of the best machines. Sorry about that. Yeah, the Bambu Lab A1 Mini is a wonderful beginner's machine. And like I said, you don't need to have the multicolor system if you're starting off. You can always purchase that later on, unless there is a sale. Filament comes in many different colors. You can also get dual color and tricolor, meaning that the filament will have 2 or 3 colors on its own. The ones I'm currently using are solid colors. But I'll show you, like for example, I do believe this is copper red, gold, and purple. So the filament here is actually, it's hard to show you, but it's multiple colors. You can see there's several colors on the filament. So there are many different types of filament. There's glow in the dark, there's rainbow glow in the dark, there's glitter, color changing, both with the sunlight and with heat, just a plethora of colors. I do purchase some of my filament from Illigo, their official website, or I predominantly shop at Amazon. So with that being said, this has cooled down, and I'll just show you. So that's the little purging tower, or flushing tower. This little piece of red here was the first run through, just to make sure there was no blockage in the nozzle. And then you have your pieces, and I'll do a little ASMR for you. That's it, just that simple. I just bent it inwards, and you have your 2 pieces. So this is the piece that will hold this switch, and then this is the piece that you guys were all probably waiting to see, cutie pie. I'm gonna push this back a bit so I'm able to assemble it for you guys, and then I'll log off. So the switch itself is here. Now, depending on where you get your files from or which print you're doing, there's different orientations. So you have to basically play around, but because I already know which way to put the switch on this one, which is gonna be this way. And it's hard to do it on the camera. So I'm going to just grab it from the top and drop it in. And I'm going to push it in. There you go. So now it's in there. It's not going to go anywhere. Then I'm going to take this part. So here you see that there's a T. And there's a T. So we're going to put that on there like that. And then we're going to press it. And there you have it. Cutie pie. And sweetheart. So I thank you guys for watching my first live of 2025. Please, I apologize for any of the technical difficulties. Ignore the nails. I had nail polish on for way too long, so I'm just giving my nails a chance to breathe. But the pretty hands will be back. I thank you guys for hanging out with me. For anybody who wanted to ask any questions, please feel free to do so, even after when you're watching the replay. I do appreciate any comments and feedback. Engagement is really important for this algorithm, and I do appreciate all the support. So thank you so much once again for hanging out with me for my first live of 2025. And I will probably be back on tomorrow with some more printing. So have a very blessed evening.